So, what's an interview then? Well, an interview is basically a conversation between two people. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, I know, but it's important to remember. It's a conversation. And before we can do any kind of interview, we need to know what kind of interview it's going to be, so we can construct our questions to match that interview type. You see, different types of interviews call for different types of questions. So let's take a look at the different types of interviews. The informative interview. This interview gains information from your guest's expertise. For example, a lion handler in the studio giving you their expertise on yesterday's lion escape. Your guest must be knowledgeable about their subject for this type of interview to work. Think about this as the expertise interview, people who know specialist in-depth information that your average person doesn't. Other types of guests could be spokespeople for specialist charities, etc. Your questions in this type of interview should be focused and should be structured from A to Z. We need to gain the important information from the expert, but in a way that the average person can understand. The character interview. This is where you interview a celebrity or a local person simply to get to know them better. For this type of interview, we're looking at who they are and what they do. Our job for this interview is to bring out the personality of our guest so that our audience can learn more about them. Think about this as the friendship interview. In general, it's light-hearted questions with no secret expose, etc. The reaction interview. You're asking someone about his or her reaction to something that has just taken place. A sex offender has just moved into your neighbourhood. How do you feel? Questions for the reaction interview will be more about gaining the emotion from your interviewee. The holding someone to account interview. Why someone did something and why did they do it that way. You'll be countering their statements, their facts, their views, etc. with your own research. This type of interview generally tends to be involved with news stories. For example, holding politicians to account. The vox pop. Interviewing the general public on a particular topic to get their views on the subject in question. What do you think about the city's idea to allow traffic back onto the walking streets? The eyewitness interview. Interviewing someone who has witnessed an event in order to get the information from them. The serious interview. Interviewing someone after a ship sinking, a plane crashing, a murder, etc. Or interviewing someone to gain their emotions on a subject, such as an astronaut returning home from space. But before we do any kind of interview, we need to listen out for ideas and we need to learn to research the ideas we find. So move on now to the next video on how to listen for ideas. And remember, the notes to this lecture are in the download section.